Hi guys, welcome back. Spoiler alert, the needless introduction of Knull in Venom, The Last Dance by Sony's Spider-Man universe has me a little irritated.
I will reward you with your lives.
Knull, one of Marvel's strongest characters, has a great deal of ability to alter the course of Sony's Spider-Man universe. His debut in the teasers for Venom: The Last Dance increased the excitement for the film, and I was among those who were eager to see how the studio would respond to the eldritch god of the Abyss's involvement. It was especially hopeful when writer-director Kelly Marcel later promised that he will return in further SSU parts. Venom: The Last Dance was the last of Venom's SSU trilogy, which was an oddity. Venom is Knull's main enemy, despite the fact that he meets a number of Marvel Comics superheroes, the great majority of whom are owned by Marvel Studios and so isolated from Sony. As viewers face the possibility of Knull battling against unimportant characters like Morbius and Kraven the Hunter rather than Venom and Thor, this put Sony's Spider-Man franchise on an intriguing path. But in the end, it was all for nothing, and I'm unhappy once more. Knull was introduced in Venom 3 as Thanos from the Sony Spider-Man universe, The Scene. After credits suggested Knull would make a comeback. Knull is a primeval deity of the void between cosmoses and the creator of all symbiotes. He is one of Marvel's most potent gods, possessing abilities that greatly surpass those of many of the arch-villains who have been introduced in Marvel films to yet. In terms of his legacy, Knull was ready to challenge even the Mad Titan, as this includes Thanos, assuming he does not possess a full Infinity Gauntlet. For example, Knull's amazing power was summed up in Marvel Comics when he split Sentry, the comic book's equivalent of Superman, in two. When bringing Knull into the franchise, Sony even followed Marvel Studios' lead. He played the string puller from his Clintar prison in Venom: The Last Dance, which was a tiny role. This mimics the part Thanos played in Guardians of the Galaxy before his devastating appearance in Avengers: Infinity War was announced by a second post-credits tease in Avengers: Age of Ultron and other references in later films. Although I suppose this was ultimately meaningless, Knull's serious danger to Earth in the Venom: The Last Dance post-credits sequence supposedly followed a similar route for Knull. According to reports, Sony is halting the development of its live-action spin-offs, meaning that Kraven the Hunter is essentially the end of the Spider-Man universe. Sony's Spider-Man universe will, for now, stop making live-action spin-off films in favor of its animated Spider-Verse franchise, future Spider-Noir series, and Spider-Man partnerships in the MCU, according to the Wrap. This came after Kraven the Hunter received a number of negative early reviews, which appeared to be the last straw for Sony's film franchise. According to reports, one Sony insider even acknowledged that the movies just aren't good. Reviews of Kraven the Hunter by critics generally concur with that recurring opinion. With a 73% fan rating on Rotten Tomatoes compared to the critics' 15% as of this writing, Kraven the Hunter may be the most recent film to split opinions, but it also had a very bad domestic opening weekend. This makes sense, given that apathy and mistrust dominated the zeitgeist around Kraven the Hunter as it neared publication. Although I'm not shocked by Sony's choice. In fact, I'm happy the studio will concentrate on the one character we all want to see more of. I find it hard to accept their strategy, or lack thereof, with Knull. It was pointless to introduce Knull without a future plan. Sony doesn't seem to have had any plans for Knull. When Kelly Marcel said that Knull would make a comeback prior to the release of Venom: The Last Dance, I'll confess that I was dubious. Since Sony's Spider-Man universe release slate was noticeably empty at the moment, I wondered where exactly he might make a comeback. That mistrust gave way to cynicism after watching Venom: The Last Dance, as I found it difficult to imagine how the franchise would handle Knull's devastating invasion without Venom playing a role. Now that I think about it, I question whether Sony ever had a plan for Knull. Rather, it seems as if the powerful cosmic antagonist was added to the film to create excitement, which, in my opinion, was successful, and then left for later films to ram in without using Venom as a vehicle. Moreover, the eponymous antihero supposedly stopped the deity and his evil schemes to conquer Earth by denying Knull his only means of escape from Clintar at the end of Venom. The Last Dance. Venom's death was insultingly worthless if it weren't the truth. This didn't really work if it was a cynical ploy to increase theater attendance. Venom, The Last Dance was a huge success, generating $475 million worldwide. It was predictably better than Morbius and Madame Web, but it was the lowest-grossing film in the Venom trilogy and significantly less successful than Venom, which made $856 worldwide. In contrast, the Spider-Man franchise in the MCU has the reverse trend, with each new film outperforming the previous one at the box office. By coincidence, I believe that Knull could contribute to the continuation of this pattern in Spider-Man 4. The introduction of Knull in Spider-Man 4 of the MCU can yet be salvaged by Sony. Knull's story can continue in the MCU. It's no secret that the glaring absence of Spider-Man is one of the most frequent complaints made about Sony's Spider-Man universe. I hoped that Knull's entrance would finally galvanize Spider-Man to the cause, possibly even assembling a multiversal team of versions in a stark but exciting departure from comic book precedent, before Sony put a halt on making films in this franchise. Fortunately, this goal is still attainable because Spider-Man 4 has the potential to achieve this spectacle. Although there are currently few story specifics available, it is quite likely that Spider-Man 4 will have yet another multiversal plot. It's unclear if this will reintroduce Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to the MCU, but the fact that Spider-Man 4 will be released between the two climactic films of the multiverse saga, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, indicates that we'll be witnessing even more multiversal antics than those in Spider-Man No Way Home. It should be simple to have Knull visit the MCU, since he controls the space between realms in Marvel Comics. The ideal antagonist for the MCU is Knull. He is undoubtedly a more formidable foe than Thanos, and in Marvel Comics, it took a number of heroes from the Marvel Studios to defeat him. Since Knull has control over all symbiotes in the multiverse, his involvement could resolve the symbiote tease in Spider-Man No Way Home after the credits have rolled. It's difficult to see anything surpassing Knull as the film's arch-villain if Sony and Marvel do plan to intensify Spider-Man's space explorations. In the end, Knull is simply too amazing a character to be ignored. However, I will address the obvious and point out that Spider-Man 4 will probably deal with Doctor Doom's role as the franchise's new arch-villain because of its close proximity to Avengers Doomsday. This will leave little opportunity for Knull to step in and finish an arc before Avengers Secret Wars concludes the story. However, Spider-Man 4 might potentially follow up and possibly give a peek of Knull as the next MCU arch-villain, after Venom, The Last Dance hinted at the antagonist. Thanks for watching.